6 o'clock, our intercessory prayer, Bible studies at 7 o'clock, which now is our Sunday school at night, and which we call the Word on Wednesday. Come and be a part of a growing community. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
And good morning. I'm Marshall Pitts.
Module Pitts.
And Myron Pitts is on his way, and we are
MP3.
Thank you for tuning in to Marshall, Module, and Myron, your trio of talk radio.
Well, it's really just Marshall and Myron.
It's just Marshall and Module right now.
Marshall and Module right now, yeah. Where's Myron?
But let me finish my thing here, okay?
Okay.
We want to always, as we do, thank all our...
if this was the job, I'd have to fire him, man.
Right.
If I was still at my old job, I'd have to let him go.
Habitually lit.
I had to let him go.
But we want to thank our participating stations who always help make MP3 possible, because without them, we wouldn't be able to reach the people in the community, and we thank them so much for that. And I also want to say, if you want to call and participate in our conversations, we welcome that as well. 910-483-6111. That's 910-483-6111. How is your week, middle brother?
It's all right. My week's all the same now.
Pretty
good.
Yeah, with the retirement. Every day's run into each other.
Every day is every meal's a feast. Every day is a holiday. Every meal's a feast. That's why I am with it now. It's all good.
Okay. Yeah, I had a very hectic week. But still out here in these streets working.
You got a good color on there, buddy. That
Yeah,
purple.
it's pretty good.
East Carolina purple.
That's East Carolina purple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say all that, but it's okay. It's okay. So, what stories you want to work with today? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, this is MP3, and we have some. Myron has sent us a list.
Okay topics.
Okay topics. Not the best, but they're okay.
Now he's here, I'll say they're okay topics.
They're okay topics.
I was going to say they're good topics, but then I saw him walk in. So I said okay topics.
So, Myron, you want to give us a lineup? Well, actually, we want to talk about a football game, but not about the actual game itself, about what happened in relationship to the game.
Yeah, the game was a few weeks ago.
Right. You're right. And South Carolina played Texas A&M, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And there was an incident where one of the players just got injured and was walking down the tunnel, and a state trooper, I guess, who was not happy with the way the game was proceeding, gave him
something else.
Yeah, gave him a shove.
Right. There were a couple of them.
Right.
Bumped into a couple of them.
Right. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about give a little commemoration to Governor Hunt.
Education governor.
Education governor served.
Is that what they call him?
Yeah,
he served two consecutive terms of 8 years. Then another later in his career served another 2 consecutive terms as governor.
Longest serving governor.
Right, longest serving.
4 terms total.
Right. We'll talk about that, and then we'll go on to the commander in chief and some things that are going on with him. First, if you didn't know, he has. His administration has erected some plaques in the White House underneath all the presidents have their photograph, a plaque with them adorning the walls of the White House. President Trump and his team have installed some additional plaques beneath the presidents who were on all the presidents who's on the wall, and saying some
and put some plaques with some insults.
Right, insults.
Just showing his petty.
Right. We'll talk about that, and then along that same line, we also talk about the Kennedy Center, named after former President Kennedy. Been a beacon for arts and entertainment and those kind of things for many years. President Trump has, if you were not aware, he he removed a lot of the former members
We
of
don't
that
have to lay out the entire topic.
members of that board.
He's changing the name.
Right, so
put
he's
his
changed-
name on
Yeah,
it.
he's gonna
Right.
put his name on the
Right.
Kennedy Center.
Yeah, and there's a background.
Yeah,
there.
so but anyway, so that's what we do. So let's get started with the football guy. Mike, you want to go ahead and take that?
You know what I don't like? I don't like it when stuff gets in the way of a football game. Mm-hmm. Guys,
Non-sports stuff.
non-sports. They should play everybody should stay in their lane. If you're a state trooper, you're not a football player. Don't make yourself
The news.
The news, which is what this state trooper did. So this guy hits the South Carolina running back Oscar
Attaway.
the third, filed a criminal complaint against a Texas state trooper who we still don't know his name.
That's right, and that's
They
a
still haven't
factor
given
in
us-
why we are
Right,
where
that's-
we are right
That's
now.
where we are right now.
Right.
Who made contact with him and a wide receiver who also played for South Carolina, a guy named Nick Harbor, during the South Carolina Gamecocks November 15th game against Texas A&M. What happened was Artaway had an 80-yard run, and he ran into the tunnel.
Yeah.
And he grabbed his leg as he was running into the tunnel. His hamstring was hurt.
Right.
We found out his hamstring, and his teammate ran in there with him. You know,
Just
try to
check
help
him, see
him
if
out.
he-
See if
Check
he
on-
was- see
check
if he
on
was
him.
okay.
Right,
You know
right.
how
Right.
the arenas are set up. You ever been to a
Right.
game before they got these long tunnels that come, and that's why people file out of there, and teams come out of there, and those type things. And so, in the entranceway to the tunnel was this state trooper. Now, of course, he probably turned around to see how far the guy was going to go down. You're just watching the play like
Right.
everyone else was.
Right.
But he took it upon himself as they were coming along.
They were coming back out of
as
the
they
tunnel.
were coming back out of the tunnel. He made
Back
contact,
onto the field.
Back
Yeah.
onto the field. He made contact with not one of them, both of them,
Deliberately.
deliberately.
Right, and if you see it,
And
if you've
then-
ever been in a situation, for those who haven't seen the video, where someone's coming at you, y'all on the trajectory to bump into each other. And usually one or often both of you will kind of move
to
so you
avoid.
don't hit each other.
Right.
So the state trooper just went straight through, almost like he didn't see the guys, deliberately making contact with them. As a matter of fact, one of the players, I don't think it was Hardaway, I think it was the other one, actually tried to move a little bit. If you watch the video, he tried to avoid the contact, and the trooper made sure that he hit them both. And then he turned around and was
said something.
yelling at him
What did
and
he
pointing
say?
at him.
Because that
It's
wasn't
not
in the
clear.
story.
It's not
But
clear.
the trooper was obviously angry about something.
Right.
And so he
That,
pointed.
that had nothing to do with the two players, but maybe with the game. You think?
It's hard to say. It could have been his personal life.
right.
South Carolina had just scored, and Texas A&M was heavily favored in that game. Honestly, mind you, this
were
is how
they
you.
were they at Texas?
They were
A&M?
at Texas. Yeah,
They were at Texas.
Yeah, it was his whole
It was a
team,
Texas
so to
trooper.
speak.
You
Right.
don't get that mad about a football game. Because if that's the case, they didn't take you off that duty, which they end up doing.
Right.
That game.
That game.
Right. So
Yeah,
what
they take you out of there.
Yeah, they took him off duty for that game because it went viral. Everybody, everything's on recording. I
Right.
tell people
I
all
mean,
the
but it's
time.
an 80-yard touchdown run. You
Right.
know someone's looking at that.
Especially the player who scored it.
That's
Right?
his play to score. So ESPN, everyone else, the whole world is watching that because they're gonna replay that 20 times.
And I think this is what kind of led to where we are now, this criminal complaint. Because this was weeks ago. It's November 15th when
Right.
this
Right.
happened.
Right.
So
Over a month
they
ago.
want
A month ago.
the Texas, what is it, state troopers, right? The state
Yeah, state
troopers,
troopers, right.
Department of Public Safety, or the Texas A&M police. No one will release the trooper's name. Okay, I don't know why they're going that route with it. Attaway has
sometimes when a controversial type thing happens, there will be times when law enforcement officials are, confrontational about revealing identities. That
I know, it's
does
always
happen.
a mistake.
I
Almost
understand-
always a mistake.
I understand why law enforcement would be that way.
Right.
But someone else knows his name, like the Texas A&M people.
Right.
They know who he is.
They know
need to
exactly who
reveal
he is.
his
They
name.
don't dealt with this
They don't
guy
have a
before.
dog in that fight. Just let him
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So
here's the rules.
Attaway said he wants to know the trooper's name and to receive an apology. My belief, if that had happened, we'd already be done with this.
We'd be done with this situation right now.
But now, as it stands, he's seeking a criminal complaint for assault. To me personally, Marsha, you can speak more to this. You're the lawyer. I'd be surprised if this
It's going nowhere.
county district attorney
no,
is
it's
going to
going
move
nowhere.
forth these charges.
No, they're not.
Brazos County is what the name
Well,
of it.
he's
Brazos.
Well, he
he's
said,
considering
He
it.
said he's considering.
Oh yeah, okay. He's considered. That's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. Now, only and he's not in the environment where there would be extensive pressure to make him do it. I mean, there are going to be a lot of Texas A&M folks who have no problem with what he did because they're
Of course.
they're football crazed. They love football down in Texas, as we all know, and so that was his way of putting those South Carolina players in their place. They don't come to our house acting up and running touchdowns and whatnot. So yeah. So it's going nowhere.
But see, that's the
it's
thing.
going
though.
nowhere.
That's the thing. It wasn't like he was dancing a jig, and he was doing all that.
He was just walking out of the tunnel.
He walked out of the tunnel.
Right.
He just scored a
He
touchdown.
wasn't celebrating.
He
He
didn't
was
spike
just-
the football. He didn't do any of that.
Right.
He ran into the tunnel, because he didn't. Well, one, his leg was hurt, and he didn't want to make a sudden stop. And teammate ran in there with him, and they were just coming back out, half walking, half trotting.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming out of the tunnel, like like you would do. It wasn't like they were throwing their hands up in the air, giving the bird to the crowd. They weren't doing any of that. And this guy takes it upon himself to bump into them. Now you and I both know these are big boys too. Now,
Yeah.
So now they had jumped on him.
They'd have been arrested.
They'd have been arrested
Or
Right.
shot.
Or shot.
Right.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But they reacted. They looked at him kind of
And
funny.
in fact, one of the players, I don't know which was which, but when the cops started berating him or saying something to him and pointing at him, was clearly angry. One of the players turned towards the cop, and the other player pulled him back toward the field because he knew what was happening there.
Right.
That guy was going to get set up and get arrested, and it would have been a whole thing. So luckily, cooler heads prevailed on the civilian side of the issue, if not the police side. Of the
What
issue.
I hope-
Which is actually quite remarkable because this is football. Football is a sport built on aggression.
That's right. It's a violent sport.
And throughout my life, most of the football players that I have known, whether it be high school, college, or going to the pros, they are not non-aggressive guys. they are very.
You got to be aggressive on the field.
Yeah, you got to be.
Sometimes it's hard to turn that
It's
stuff
hard
off.
to turn it off.
Right.
And so, but in this particular situation, I hope that if they drill down further, I hope this guy comes out and says he just let the emotions. He wanted his alma mater or his state school
Right,
or whatever to win the football game. I
Now-
hope it was not much more than that, but I suspect that it was.
Now this is another thing with the player. He says that he wanted an apology. First of all, I think people waste their. I can't tell you the number of people that come to me for legal matters where they have clearly been treated badly in whatever capacity for whatever reason, and they're saying, well, and they're coming to me, can you help me? And I'm telling them about all the things that would be involved, and they'll often say, well, it's not about the money. I just want an apology. If I say, well, there's a lot of money to be spent to pursue this, and so you have to understand that if it's not about the money, then this is not something you should be doing because it's going to be expensive to you,
Right.
and to pursue it. And also, I'll
And
tell
you as the attorney, it's always about the money for
right.
you. Right.
Well, I'm not about. Nobody's about doing, wasting time doing some stuff for free.
For an apology.
Just for.
If I go to an attorney, I want more than an apology. I don't know if I can't do that, but if I go to an attorney, I want more than an apology.
right.
And I think that's where these guys are now. They initially probably would have been okay with an apology. If the guy had just said, I let my emotions get the best of me, so forth and so on. It was a big game. I don't even know who won the game.
But see,
Actually, the Aggies at Texas A&M, I didn't know this either, so I just read in the story. They posted the biggest comeback in school history and
so
won the game.
they won the game. So,
Right.
I mean, but at
they
the
weren't
time,
winning at that
They weren't
point.
winning at that time.
They were down 27-3.
Oh,
Right.
okay, gotcha,
Right.
gotcha. They were getting ran off the
Yeah.
field. So the guy might have just let his emotions, but if he had offered that apology then, but now he hadn't said anything, and not only that, he's hiding.
And see,
Yeah.
and see, the other thing is,
And people see his face,
Right.
so he's going to be revealed.
right? So it is, and
Right.
it's rare, and I think that a lot of times it's pointless to want that to be part of the equation. because it's very rare that you get that from, you know, when you say somebody did you wrong, I want them to apologize. It's very rare that happens. You may get some money or some compensation, but very rarely is there apology associated with.
Yeah, now, I understand why people want that.
Right, yeah. So
if they apologize, though, that's admitting wrong, though, right?
Yeah, they're not going to apologize.
And that's why a lot of people
they're not going to apologize. And so, if this young man is upset about what happened to him, forget about apologies. Pursue your claim. It's probably not going to go anywhere, but pursue your claim and see where it leads. Forget about apologies, because that's not going to happen.
Well, I think it's good to ask for it, though, because it shifts, and he is pursuing a criminal charge. So we'll see where that goes. The Department of Public Safety, which is their version of the state troopers, they also issued a statement. The Office of Inspector General says they're aware of the incident and will be further looking into the matter. No additional information will be released at this time.
So
that's
in the
what they
month
said.
since the game, Attaway said he said he has lost sleep over the incident and has seen a University of South Carolina sports psychiatrist because of the
you know
emotion.
why he's lost sleep, though?
What?
Because they were so taken aback by this happening. He was thinking, I should have just beat this guy down and been done with it. That's what he's thinking.
No, he did the right thing.
No, he did
He
the right
did the
thing.
right thing,
He did the
but at
right
the
thing.
same time, this is a young man, a
Yeah.
football player.
Yeah.
He obviously could, you know, if all things being equal, which they aren't, he
Right.
could tighten this guy up
Right.
pretty quickly.
Right. Mhm.
But they aren't equal.
Right.
This guy has a badge and a gun.
Right.
And would use it against him. So they did the right thing. They were the mature ones in this situation. The one who should have been the mature one, the law officer of the law, was not. I commend these young men for de-escalating that. And I do believe that, you know, I think it's difficult for us in the older generations to understand how much young people just have very low tolerance for this
Very
completely
low. Very
unnecessary
low.
mistreatment
Very
at the
low.
hands of law enforcement or anyone else. It doesn't make sense to them. And so when it happens, they really are shocked. Like,
They
why
are.
did this guy do this?
Right.
You know, so I actually find it very plausible that he lost sleep over this.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not doubting. I'm not doubting from that generation.
Right.
Now
right.
from my generation, a little shove. We might be okay with that. We got away with that.
Got away. That wasn't worse. Right.
And you know, probably some of his teammates like, man, you let this little 180-pound man shove you around. What's going on? So you know he's getting that too.
Yeah, he did the right thing though, man.
Yeah, he did the right
He
thing,
didn't,
yeah.
you know, cameras rolling, all that kind of stuff going on. There really is nothing else he could have done.
I know.
There really
Especially
is nothing
with
else he could have done and walk away from that situation.
Because if he had responded,
Then it
just
would've been-
responded in kind by shoving him
Right.
back, all of a sudden,
Yeah, it's a
he's
whole
the
different
villain.
ball game.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
he's
whole
the
different
villain at that
ballgame.
point.
Right.
Only thing he
and
did,
he would have been charged.
Only thing the guy did was a little shove. Well, he didn't have to shove him to the ground. He didn't have to kick him in the head.
Yeah.
It'd have been all that going on there. But you know, it made ESPN a couple of nights.
It did,
But then
sure
they moved
did.
on.
Sure
did.
They moved on because
right.
again, we don't know this guy's name. Somebody knows his name.
Yeah, yeah.
People that live in Texas that live in that area, they know this guy. He
Oh,
probably
yeah.
worked several games.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, he got a badge on. He got a
Yeah,
name on his
yeah.
thing. Everybody knows who this guy is.
Now, in my opinion, it's not clear. I think he should just be taken off that duty.
Oh, no doubt.
Just completely taken off that duty.
And if he likes football,
it's
that
a
would-
privilege. It's a little extra
Yeah.
money for him.
Definitely should be taken off that duty.
If he
Well,
can't behave,
I would
and
take
if
it
he
further
should
than
take-
that. I don't know if I'm.
Some people felt he should be terminated.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
don't
that
know
was
if
a
he should
bit
still
much.
be on the force because it's a temperament thing.
Yeah.
It shows that you're dealing with people all the time. A lot of them are not friendly to you, cursing you out, whatnot. If you were,
That's right, and these guys weren't doing any
even
of
doing
that.
anything.
Right.
So
But
if you got
again-
that kind of temperament, maybe state
Maybe
troopers not
law
for you.
enforcement's
But
not,
it
not
goes
what you
back
should
to
be
what
in.
if it goes back to what I said. It depends on what the temperament was about. Now, if it was some type of racial temperament that he's upset because these guys, but if it was because of the football game, we all know a lot of people get real upset about football and will fight, even people without a badge and a gun. So I know these guys are held to a higher standard.
That's right.
They're held to a higher standard. But if especially if they're getting drilled, they down 27-3, and he really likes Texas A&M.
Yeah.
You know, that might have been that could have really have been the issue. All jokes aside, that could have been the issue with him. And these guys, they just scored an 80-yard touchdown. They running his favorite team off the field, and he's upset about it.
And then again, he just could have had a bad breakup or something.
Could have been anything. Could have been any number of things.
But at the end of the day, like you said, they're held to a higher standard. It's still about the temperament, man.
Yeah.
You can't, because you're having a bad day, you can't be taking that out on anybody. No, not in that job.
That's for sure.
They can, and they do.
They're humans. They are humans.
They can, and they do, because they're humans.
I honestly think I wouldn't be surprised. Now, it's already gone to, I guess, the DA's looking at it, so we're past that step. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy came out and issued an apology. That would end the whole thing.
You wouldn't be surprised if
I
he
would
didn't?
not be surprised. I think that the young man just wants a little bit of respect.
What the DA can do in this situation.
Both
the DA, because you know how much power DAs have. The DA can do in this situation is call his boss and say, look, tell your boy you got to follow the sword. Right. He going to have to apologize, period.
And then
move on.
We can move on.
That's right.
And we can move on.
Right.
Tell your boy you going to have to apologize and move on. He shouldn't have did it. I don't care what this black guy was saying. None of that makes any difference. That's what he telling him. None of that makes any difference at this point. You got to follow the sword, apologize so we can move on from this little incident. That's what he's saying.
It's making them all look bad.
It's making everybody look bad. You got a DA with all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And you got to make a decision about some state trooper.
Right. And just the fact they're not releasing the name, it just, you say all the time, I used to cover up this person.
Yeah.
It looks like they're trying to cover stuff
coming
up.
up saying, listen, I let my emotions get the best of me. I apologize to this young man and his family and this whole team, and I apologize to Texas A&M for messing up their reputation.
Right.
And I promise you, it will never happen again.
And that's it.
And move on.
Right.
And move on.
All right. Former North Carolina Governor Jim Hunt passed away, 88 years old. He was, as Marshall pointed out, he was the only governor to serve 4 terms, two separate consecutive terms.
Right.
Was reelected. He's a Wilson County native. Did not know that.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know he was from Wilson, Eastern Carolina.
And the news was announced by his daughter, Lieutenant Governor Rachel Hunt, who's reelected this past November, actually. Elected Lieutenant Governor Rachel Hunt. She announced his passing. Funeral arrangements are still being worked on. She wrote that he devoted his life to serving the people of North Carolina, guided by a belief that public service should expand opportunity, strengthen communities, and always put people first. That's what she said in a news release. Former Governor Roy Cooper called Hunt the greatest governor in North Carolina history, and current Governor Josh Stein said he can think of no one who shaped North Carolina's recent successes as much as Governor Jim Hunt. Now, those are both Democrats, but even Republican U.S. Senator Tom Tillis, who's retiring, said Hunt's, quote, commitment to public education and economic development made a profound impact on our state that continues to this day.
Even Miles, my son, is enjoying reaping the benefits of that, because Governor Hunt was a guy, he and I forgot the other guy who was with him, the co-partner on it. They came up with the North Carolina School of Science and Math. And so that's where, as you know, where Miles is attending now. And that's one of and a lot of states are trying to follow that model because the School of Science and Math considered one of the top high schools in education in the entire country.
Right, and every county has a shot at least getting a couple students in that school. So all 100 counties.
Right.
He grew up on a dairy farm, Governor Hunt, in tiny Rock Ridge community. He wasn't even in Wilson. It was outside Wilson.
A Wilson suburb.
Biographer and a longtime aide of his, Gary Pierce, who often writes for my section, The Observer, the opinion section. Gary Pierce, he worked with Hunt. He says one of Jim Hunt's earliest memories as a young boy is the highway paving truck coming and paving the dirt road in front of his family's farm.
He said that what made him get into politics.
Yeah.
How did this dirt road happen? How did they pave this road? Right? He asked his dad, who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for this?
Yes,
he saw then how political decisions can impact lives.
Right. That's
my goodness, yes.
And I tell people that all the time. I say, as a lawyer, I can, over the years I've had tons of clients, but it's kind of a more of an individual thing most of the time. But as a politician, I always use this term, you can do broad brushstrokes.
That's right.
Because you can impact scores of people by making a decision on something.
At one point.
Yeah,
right.
at one point. At one time.
He was the student body president at what is now NC State University. And he became an attorney and made his first run for office in 1972. Like his daughter did last year in 72, he got elected lieutenant governor with help from former governor Terry Sanford.
Terry, who was from Fayetteville.
And so his
He was
win
only 35
came,
when he won the lieutenant governorship.
Yeah, and so his win came the same year North Carolina elected the Republican governor. And Pierce says that made Hunt at the time the highest-ranking Democratic Party leader in the state. And as you know, his only major that I know of electoral loss is he ran for
Jesse
Senate
Helms.
against Jesse Helms and lost against Jesse Helms.
And
And that's at that point, that's when a lot of people, myself included, figured that Helms was not beatable, because if Hunt couldn't beat him, who could?
Hunt, when he talked about,
and you were
former Governor Hunt said that when his campaign, when he reflected upon the loss, he talked about how his campaign team they were not ready for that type of nastiness that they encountered. He said that caught him by surprise.
Yeah.
They weren't ready for it. He said they didn't recover in a sufficient time. It just was not effective.
They were not expecting it to be like that it was, and that was the first time. One of the first times when Helms had to reveal that type of net, because he had an opponent.
Yeah.
That was
could
wildly
actually
popular.
beat him.
Right.
And then, that could actually beat him now, of course.
Yeah.
And you were right when you said, because several other people ran against him since then.
Yeah,
And
Harvey
lost.
Gantt
Harvey
twice, yeah.
Twice, fell to Helms. And has there ever been a Democrat senator from North Carolina?
Yeah, there've been some.
several.
Like Kay Hagan, the late Kay Hagan was one.
It's been,
It's a short list.
Yeah.
But
we
y'all
had-
may say, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think that there's been someone other
I'm
than
not
Kay
going to
Hagan?
say. I'm going to speak definitively. That's the last one I remember. It's just North Carolina is very interesting because they elect a series of Democratic governors.
There was a guy before. I
but-
can't remember his name. I hate
Yeah.
that. But yeah, we've had more than one Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so Hunt also made the leadership of state government more diverse. That story here, which is from WUNC, very good story if you want to check it out. He appointed the state's first black Supreme Court Justice, Henry Fry, and the first black cabinet member, Secretary of Natural Resources and Community Development, Howard Lee. Hunt said one of his big accomplishments is working for fairness and equality. He said that during a 2008 interview with UNC TV. When he wrapped up his second term in '84, he helped allocate part of the Dorothea Dix Mental Hospital property in Raleigh to NC State for what's now its Centennial Campus, an innovative public-private partnership model. He rebuffed efforts from city leaders to build housing developments on the site. The library there is named after him. And of course, another part of that property has become a huge park in Raleigh, Dorothea Dix, which is where Dreamville happens, from Fayetteville's J. Cole, his huge concert series. Seen Governor Hunt a couple times in person. The most recent
John
time, it
Edwards.
was several years ago, he came and spoke.
John Edwards, we forgot about
John
him.
Edwards, man, you forgot about him.
Because he'd be a
Two
lot
Americas
faster.
guy.
Be a lot.
He was forgettable.
Yeah.
He was a little slight.
That's why we forgot about him.
Yeah, a little thin. Ultimately, he fell to scandal and. But he spoke. Governor Hunt came to speak about the North Carolina History Center on the Civil War, Reconstruction and Emancipation and Reconstruction. It's got a long name, but he was a supporter of that, and it did not surprise me because that center, which is under construction here in Fayetteville, seeks to tell the real story of what happened in North Carolina during the Civil War and Reconstruction without the apologists, the Southern apologists sheen to it. And so it did not surprise me that Governor Hunt was backed real education in that sense. What were you saying, Mike?
It's surprising how, because Edwards was seen as a rising star,
That's right, he was, yeah.
and so before he ran into all
He was
those,
Kerry's VP choice, wasn't he?
right,
John
something
Kerry,
like-
yeah,
and then he-
unsuccessful presidential campaign.
and then he ran into all that trouble with some affairs
An
and
affair, yeah.
sordid things and those type of things. He could have easily have been probably down the road because of his, he had the looks, and then he could talk and all this kind of stuff. He's also
Could have been president.
Could have been president of the United States, huh? So those, and now how we remember him, how I first think of him, is always the affair that he had that derailed his.
I think of that and the Two Americas.
I thought that was a
thing,
good campaign platform.
because we have seen not only is his concept of Two Americas, and he didn't create it, but that was part of his campaign. Not only has this concept proven correct, we are even seeing more so as the gap between the haves and have-nots gets increasingly larger, where the haves, billionaires had probably their best year ever.
Yep.
Recently, and then we got some people worried about their health care. Obamacare subsidies about to get cut off and cuts to SNAP. So Two Americas is even more prominent now than when Edwards first raised it. But you're right, Maji. He could have been a contender, as the saying goes. But he didn't have things correct in his personal life at that time. I wonder what he's up to now, by the way, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, he's still practicing law.
But Governor Hunt certainly leaves a legacy. And as I've gotten older, our parents have always stressed education. I mean, they're both educators in their careers, and it was always
too.
stressed. Huh?
Head Start. Didn't Hunt create Head Start?
Head Start here in North Carolina. That's right. That's right. So, and as I've gotten older, I've only seen that even more so. The education is really the key to it all. If you look at the jam we're in now as a country, and there's no need to go to the blow by blow. We know what kind of jam we're in. A lot of that is due to people just really not knowing what's going on, the facts. There's a lot of, we need education. And for most people, if you're going to get to that next rung in terms of income, in terms of living comfortably, you really need to try to get some kind of degree. It doesn't have to be a 4-year degree. It could be an associate's degree or training, which is another form of education.
Right.
If you're going to be
that's
plumber,
right.
you don't necessarily need a
Right.
4-year degree, but you do need that training. You get that certificate, truck driver, it's all the same. Go ahead, Mark.
Right. And that's what people got to understand. When we talk about education, everybody's assuming that you're always talking about college,
Bachelor's, right.
and a bachelor's degree and that kind of thing. But that's not necessarily the case. We need electricians, we need plumbers, we need all those kind of carpenters. All those skills are much needed in this country. And actually, a lot of those folks in those type of workspaces are retiring out. They're leaving it, and there's a vacuum now.
That's right. That's right.
We don't have enough of those kind of workers or people trained in those professions to do the jobs that are needed.
And the way it used to be, and we do have D.L. Holden, the way it used to be was there is kind of an apprenticeship type situation where the previous generation, either whether it's their family member or their child, they raised them up to learn that same kind of work. And that still goes on, but not to the degree that it once did.
The problem with it is that, yes, they need those skills and those trades, but the American people also need a basic understanding of politics, just a basic understanding of politics. You can be a plumber and still be ignorant about politics.
Right, I agree.
Yeah. So you can be,
or you could be a college graduate
and still be ignorant about
That's what I was about to say.
I've seen that too.
You can be a 4-year degree, master's degree.
Yeah.
You can have your doctorate degree and still be ignorant about politics.
Right.
And so when it comes and how to gather information. And so when it comes to our world and things that we're looking at, people have a basic. The American people have a basic ignorance when it comes to politics, and that word gets a bad name.
Ignorance just means you don't know. It doesn't
you don't know about.
Doesn't mean
That's right. It doesn't mean you're
unintelligent.
stupid.
Doesn't
I'm
mean-
ignorant
Right.
about engineering.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know how to do those type of things.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that you're overall just a dumb guy, but it does mean that you're ignorant about certain things.
I would say one of the biggest misconceptions I've had is that, a lot of people don't pay attention in high school history. They're just not interested.
They don't.
They sleep through it.
Right.
But for some reason, I thought in my mind that when they reached adulthood, they would then catch up.
I don't know why you thought
Why would
that.
you think that?
I don't know. I just naturally thought, because I've always been interested in history. That's why. So I read more than I did.
lot of
now.
That train has left the station.
Right. So yeah.
Once
in
they get
fact-
to living their lives, you forget about history.
All right, we have DL on the line. DL, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Hey,
Yeah,
good morning,
yeah.
DL.
Jim Hunt. All right, Jim Hunt was on the wrong side of history as lieutenant governor with the Wilmington 10.
Oh, yeah,
And
that-
also, if we're going to talk about history, under his regime, both of his terms, his 2 8-year terms, HBCUs did nothing. If you look at NC State, if you look at East Carolina, Western Carolina, they flourished. Tell these young black folks to go to not Capel Arena, but Lilly Gymnasium, right in front of the football stadium. That's what Fayetteville State had until 1995 or late 94 when Capel Arena opened. So he was a friend of education, but he forgot about HBCUs. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, DL. Appreciate it.
I think that in terms of education that we were talking about, though, we were talking about K through 12 and down. I think that's what we were kind of referring to. Teachers pay during that period of time. He was one of the few governors that brought teachers pay up at that time to the national average.
Right.
To make sure they weren't underpaid like they are now.
Yeah.
They are underpaid now. Then the
Falling
lag,
back down into
they lag
that.
behind
Right.
as far as the natural pay and the national average. I think that's what we were referring to. I don't know his college record.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for that context, DL.
But if he did,
most people's legacy is very, very complicated.
Yeah.
But DL said one good thing. He said he did good things for East
Only
Carolina.
one good thing?
Well, he said a lot of good things, but the best thing he said, the best good thing he said was East Carolina. He said something about East Carolina came up there. So thanks for that.
It's very interesting that Cooper called him, and when people pass, people go all the way with the praise.
Oh,
and
they
so
give you
forth.
flowers when you pass.
Yeah, they do.
So to speak.
Greatest governor. That's interesting because I think a lot of people would say it's Terry Sanford, but you could debate those things.
Right.
But both are great governors. Terry Sanford, Fayetteville guy, right?
Yeah.
Fayetteville guy. So
Named the high school after him.
yeah. So rest in power, Governor Hunt. You did a lot of good while you were here, and it's appreciated.
Right. We need to move on, though.
Yeah,
move
it's
on.
appreciated. All right. So
Let's go to our president, our current president, and
now, speaking of the opposite.
yeah.
Opposite of greatness is what you said.
Speaking of the opposite, so Trump, he hasn't really changed. So I always say that all the time. So in one sense, there's nothing new. He's just applying his same negative qualities to new situations. So the latest is the latest two, and both happen to drop this week. Marshall set these up. One, the portraits that there are portraits that hang in the White House of previous presidents. That's a pretty common thing. So Trump has started I guess he calls it a Walk of Fame or something like that, where he puts new portraits and for the Democrats, and he's written. I don't know who writes the text. That's another whole thing. But on these plaques, they have new text about presidents' legacies, and on President Obama, President Biden, and President Clinton, it's a negative take.
Right.
It'd be like if Fox News or right-wing radio had written the plaque. I mean that's really how a lot of it reads. It's just as an example,
When President Biden, he calls the language underneath it talks about him being the worst president ever in the history of the country.
Right.
So sometimes.
And it says that Biden took office in the White House, quote, as a result of the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States. So a lot of these plaques, let's backtrack to how it actually works in a normally functioning administration or whether it's local, state, whatever. These plaques, usually historians get together and decide what we're going to say on this plaque.
Correct.
Because they know it's something that may be there for a long time. These plaques are not going to go past the Trump administration, but typically they're there for a very long time. And historians really, I mean, there are debates. There's active debates. You know, the Market House, which has a very complicated legacy, to say the least. That plaque has been poured over and worked on, because that's normally how it happens. These plaques, they weren't written by Trump himself, because they wouldn't be what literacy they have. It wouldn't even show that. But it was written by just a partisan take.
Right.
You know, maybe someone from his marketing team. Who knows? They just
But
threw this stuff out
is
there.
there was no need that. We already have the. It was unnecessary.
That's what's so striking about it.
Yeah, totally unnecessary to do this and do all these it's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact,
You couldn't be more petty.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I need to check into this. But it's my understanding that even some of the places where
Yes, that's true.
President Obama's portrait has been hanging, they moved him to
Moved
the
him to a hallway.
to the hallway, to the back of the so it would be visible. Just
The question becomes to me, not the question, but the statement that I want to make now is
I need to go
how
I want to
easy.
read a little bit of Obama.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I need to go check and see if my plaque's still hanging in the mayor's office.
No. It's not in the
Mayor
middle.
has some new wording in there.
It's in one of the desk drawers.
Put your legacy in context.
It's in one of the desk drawers. If you let them know you're coming by, they'll hang it back up.
Well, I was in the chamber a week or so ago. It was still there, as far as I know.
They knew you were coming by.
Well, not the office. I saw your picture in the city hall chamber. That's still there. I can verify.
Right,
That. Go
okay.
ahead, buddy.
They probably knew you were coming. But the job of the president of the United States must be easy.
Must be easy.
Yeah, it's got to be an
Why
easy
is
job
that?
because I don't know that if I was president of the United States
You
that I
have
would
time to
have
worry
time
about
to
deal
do
with
that.
petty stuff, renaming of the Kennedy, putting plaques in, putting verbiage to plaques and stuff like that. Well, I mean, where do you have the time to do stuff like that? Listen, that's a childlike mind.
Yeah.
When you start
Yeah.
thinking, I mean, you start
It
worrying
is.
about how
But that's the way President Trump is.
That's the
always,
way he is,
He's
yeah.
always. I mean, that's just his
Like you said,
personality.
childlike.
Even
Childlike.
even when he was much younger. I mean, if somebody said something about it, he
never forgets.
He's always gonna get back.
Yeah.
Try to get back at.
That's what children do.
That's what children do, right?
That's what I mean by child. So you're worried about something that's said up under a plaque that the rest of us didn't even know were there.
Right.
Right.
I didn't even know nothing about these plaques
Right.
hanging on the wall or
Same.
any words that are under
Right.
the plaques until this story came out. I did not know how they hang stuff in hallways or whatever, pictures of presidents, until Trump started moving the presidential pictures around. The only people that's going to know that is a select few people.
Right.
Who are in the White House,
Right.
right?
Who are in the
So
White House.
Obama's plaque names him as Barack Hussein Obama. The former president, and the story points out, the former president's full name is often used derisively in right-wing circles. We know that.
Right.
The plaque calls him one of the most divisive figures in American history. It details what the Trump administration paints as his failures, including Obamacare, which it calls the highly ineffective, unaffordable Care Act. Again, so petty. Quote, he presided over a stagnant economy, approved the terrible Iran nuclear deal, blah, blah, blah. And then it says the Paris Climate Accords, which is, of course, the climate change bill, both of which were later terminated by President Donald J. Trump. And then even in some of the other plaques, like he had one
Bill
about
Clinton.
Andrew Jackson. So it's more or less a favorable plaque. Andrew Jackson's one of those complicated legacies,
right.
but it's more or less favorable. But he points out the press at the time was so unfair to him and Lincoln, but not as bad as it was to Donald J. Trump. So he's inserted himself in the long
almost
dead
everything.
and long gone presidents.
Like with former President Bill Clinton, he talks about the main thing he talks about with that. Well, I beat his wife. Come on. Come on.
So, but what this shows, and in all seriousness, what it shows, the fact that he has a team that's willing to just do anything he says, no matter how ridiculous, and shows that there's no more truth to power in the White House. There's no one like people from his first administration. There were a handful who pushed back. We see that in every department, from the Department of Justice to the Department of Defense, which is still the official name, by the way. Department of War is not, would have to be changed by Congress. It's Department of Defense. There's just no one to challenge these kind of, as you point out, Majo, childish actions or anything he wants to do. It's just carte blanche. Whatever he says gets done within the bounds of the law or outside the law. His staff just does it, and these ridiculous plaques are another example.
Well, some of them are who work for him in his administration are thinking we hope. No. You have to say some of these people, even though they might be very conservative and support the president, most of his propositions and ideas. When things like this are done, somebody's saying, well, that kind of makes us look petty, as we can be.
I'm sure.
And they're saying they know this, and
they might say that to themselves.
Yeah, that's all, or even amongst themselves.
Right.
But they're
Don't
not
talk too
going to
loudly
push
about
back.
that, or they won't be around long.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. That's the issue. The people who
he fires people who disagree.
The people who would say, well, I know you want to look at these plaques, but we got the Russia-Ukraine war.
Right.
The
economy.
I know you want to look at these plaques, but we have, what's going on in Palestine and
the economy.
Israel. And we got the economy, we got tariffs, we got stuff like that. So, we can deal with the plaques. There's no one that says we can deal with the plaques, but let's put that on. Let's make that next week or down the road somewhere.
Put it on the back burner for right
sign that to a committee over there to let them deal with that.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Russia and Ukraine and the economy and stuff like that.
I would not doubt, just from the way these plaques read, he read the text before they got put on there.
Right.
And probably wrote some of it.
Right. And if somebody was saying, well, can we just table it, Mr. President, until next week and maybe revisit, then he'd tell somebody, get this guy out of here, or this person out, because they're not doing what I tell them to do.
And the other thing, also, Marshall set up at the top of the hour, that's in this same kind of vein, if you will, is the Kennedy Center. It's known for a hub of the arts, respected institution, previously so.
The Kennedys are getting a double dose these days.
RFK Jr.
With the health,
RFK.
They get a double dose of disrespect to the name these days.
So
every Kennedy that's ever been assassinated is rolling over in the grave, right? Because of what's going on with their name, right? Because of Health and Human Services, and now because of this stuff,
now
right
because
here.
of this. So President John F. Kennedy is who it was named for, who was a patron of the arts. So Marsha, I think you started to say this. He had fired the entire Kennedy Center board, Trump, and replaced it with his brown nosers, his crew, and that board voted to name the center the Trump. What is it? The Trump Kennedy Center.
Right.
Trump first.
Trump.
K comes before
I didn't know
T.
that
But
part. I thought it was a Kennedy Trump Center.
In his alphabet, T might come before K. Who knows?
He may think of that. So going to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center. Trump 79. I don't know why he is 79. He is previously referred to the cultural institution as the Trump Kennedy Center, and people thought he was just kind of joking, getting people riled up. But now it has been officially now. Whether that's an official change, just like the Department of War, Department of Defense thing, it's not clear that he actually has the authority to do that. But as we know, with this term even more so than his first term, they just do it. And then if the courts pull him back, maybe they pull him back, maybe they don't.
And a lot of times they don't.
So he just did it. So now, at least in any announcements they put out, it will be called the Trump Kennedy.
But that's just capitalizing on a very familiar strategy that I noticed that the Republican Party has been very efficient at in this country, is that they will like drawing voting maps. and you know, in doing both parties gerrymander.
Yeah.
But Republicans tend to do it and don't worry about the lawsuits and stuff that'll come, because by the time the law catches
The
up,
election's held.
the election's
Right.
already done.
Yeah.
And so you can't undo it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been very effective.
But
very
it's
effective.
not only that, he does certain, like I said, you can't undo it. I mean, we all thought it was kind of comical when he started saying he wanted this big ballroom.
Right.
And then he took a wrecking ball
To the east wing.
to the
Tore it
east
down
wing,
completely.
Tore it down.
Yeah.
And now he's got this long hallway, and that's how it's supposed to look. So we got a long hallway, and then extend to this $300 million ballroom.
Yeah.
The east wing is gone.
No questionable funding sources.
The east wing is gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
I mean, on TV,
So,
I'm
so if the
appalled.
court comes back and say, "Oh, he shouldn't have done that,"
Right. Well,
what difference does it make now? Right?
what are we gonna do at this point?
Right.
I turn on the evening news. That's how I found out about
Yeah.
it. I turn on the evening news, and there's a wrecking ball.
That's
going
how
to
we
the east
all
wing.
found out about
Boom.
it, right?
It's gone.
Because his story
Completely
changed
destroyed.
on this, and then this is also a Trump thing. You know, from when he first became big on the New York scenes back in the late '70s. He bought this building. They had some particular artwork, 2 pieces of artwork that the New Yorkers really loved.
Right.
And he said, "Yo, I'm not going to mess with that." Then he just destroyed it and then did what he wanted to. So fast forward to this year, he had said there was going to be no changes to the East Wing. Then he said there'd be some modifications. Next thing you know, Nigel, me, you, the rest of us, wrecking ball to the East Wing, gone, completely gone. So
that was pretty shocking, though.
That was shocking.
That was
shocking. And
it
I
happens.
think-
And it happened so fast too.
yeah, a week. Basically about a week.
Ball.
That was where the first lady had traditionally worked. It's been in place since Teddy Roosevelt, the earlier Roosevelt. so you know, the 1900s.
Yeah.
And it's just gone completely. And there was a commission. There's commissions for all these things. They just weren't consulted. They were ignored. And now they actually do have a lawsuit over the East Wing, but it's
and
gone.
I know that's the music we gotta get ready to go, but they said even on the vote for the board to add him to the Kennedy Center name, they touted it was unanimous. And there was this sister that was on the board.
She didn't vote for it.
No, she said she was trying to be very vocal about voting for it. I guess it was a video call or a Zoom call.
Yeah, like a Zoom.
And she said she was pushing the button. So they put her on mute.
Yeah.
It said it's unanimous.
Wow. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Turn off our microphone. Put on mute. Shut off the video. Whoever controls it.
You can't even see her.
We good to go, right? All in favor? And you move on.
Of the non-muted parties.
Right.
It was unanimous.
All right, we have to get out here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in.
This is our last show.
It's our last show before the
New year.
Yeah, let's
So
just
we'll
make
see you
that
guys.
clear.
We'll
Merry
see
Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah,
We'll
man,
see you on
y'all have a
January
safe
the
and
2nd,
happy
I believe.
holidays.
January 2nd.
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah.
holidays, everybody.
But yeah, be safe out there. I'm Marshall Pitts,
Module Pitts.
I'm Myron Pitts.
and we are